Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me, Ismail, here with a chatty discussion video. I kind of want to have had something I've been noodling on. This has come up a few times in the Read What You Own Discord and in my own members Discord where we've discussed these things. But there's the whole concept of a TBR 0, having 0 books on your TBR. Basically, the way I look at TBR 0 is like you have 0 unread books on your shelves, right? And as somebody who has been making content for a long time now, I think my first video was 2018-ish, late 2018. So I would say 2019. We really hit our stride maybe a little bit. But I have a lot of hauls I've done, video coming on that soon. I have a lot of books I've gotten for free, a lot of books I picked up because other people talked about them. And those things sit on in so many places, right? Like when I set up my Read What You Own numbers for the year, I have 11 sources of books on my TBR, right? That's a lot. That's a lot of books. That's a lot of things on my TBR. And I've been doing Read What You Own every year for, I think are we on year 3? You know, I didn't check, but we're on year 2 or 3 at this point. And I think that project has really taught me a lot about my spending habits, what I buy, where I get books, how I get books, and things like that. And I've just been debating and noodling, where and what is my dream TBR situation? What would make me feel a little better? Because I do feel in some ways that the digital clutter that I thought wasn't bugging me is actually kind of bugging me and hindering me in picking a book to read sometimes. And I'm gonna admit it, I think it is right now. I think the phase of my life that I'm currently in, having as much as I do to read is hindering me, because sometimes I just stare at the things and I don't read any of it, and I'm just reading from KU and swapping out the same 5 checkouts. And in that, I just think there's a conversation to be had, right? I personally will say right now, flat out, I am never going to be a 0 TBR person. That just doesn't work for me. That would never work for me. I have discussed this many times on my channel. I have ADHD. I forget things. I forget things a lot. So I need somewhat of a TBR that is tracking books I'm interested in. So that would be my want to read shelf on Goodreads, or my Kindle Unlimited TBR on Goodreads even. I also have a wish list that I don't, they go on one of the 2 places. I probably need to condense them all into one place. But, I have a NetGalley list on Goodreads as well, and Edelweiss, another place where I get ARCs sometimes, and things like that. On top of my Kindle owned books shelf on Goodreads, that is probably not the most up to date, but I do need to probably go through and audit that again. But I have a place where I corral a lot of that information, right? And I like having it all in one place. But I also am noticing that those numbers are not going down like I want them to. Those numbers are not adjusting, and with the volume of books I read, what is the dream scenario of books to have on my TBR or around me that are unread? I have books turned backwards on my shelf that I haven't read. 3.5 shelves of manga, I would say, about that are unread. I read a lot. I read 300 plus books a year easily without trying. I'm already over 200 for this year, and I'm not having a great year, and I'm over 200. So this is where I say, somebody who reads the volume I do, I have to have somewhat of a list. I need to have somewhat of a TBR going, right? I need to know that I have things to go pick up when I want to read them. I don't want to have to run to the store and pick up a book when I need one, or go browse Amazon. I like to have options, but I also think I want those options shrunk down, way, way down. And like I said, as doing this Read What You Own, I've learned a lot about my buying habits and about my reading habits. And one of the issues we'll talk about in the haul video I have coming for you, where I've gone through all my hauls, I think, is that I let some things linger for too long. But I think, first of all, let's kind of talk about where my TBR is sitting right now, and then we'll talk about the dream number. So I currently have 736 unread books on my Kindle. NetGalley, I have 102, I think 103. I'm not sure if that included a new update or not. Edelweiss, I have 74. Libro FM, I have 178. Audible, I have 106. Google Play Store, I have 26. The Penguin Random House Audio Influencer app, I have 29 titles on. My unread manga is around 222 volumes. My digital manga is around 15. I have 11 unread light novels and 112 unread physical books. This totals 1,611 books around me that I have not read. And I'm reading, let's say, 300 a year. So manga, we'll exclude the manga in the math we're going to do here. So excluding all manga, digital and physical, I have 1,374 unread books themselves. And at 300, I read about 150 to 200 books a year, so we'll split it in the middle. We'll say 175. And I usually read about 150 manga. So that would take me almost 8 years to read all of these. And by the time 7 or 8 years has passed, these are books I'm not going to want to read anymore. Let's be honest. A lot of these are books I'm not going to want to read anymore. I'm going to want to read the hot new thing. And that's kind of the wake-up call for me a little bit of like, I need to commit to reducing these numbers. And then for manga, I read, again, similarly, 150 to 200. So for manga format in total, I have 237 volumes. So we're going to split it in the middle again. We'll say 175. That would take me 1.5 years to read all of the manga I own. That is unread. That feels better. But that's still not good because I'm bringing in a handful of volumes every single month just about. And again, new hotness, new thing I want to read is going to shift the things I pick up. So that is part of this reflection I'm having is like, oh, I need to get this under control ASAP. And one of the perks of being a digital reader, I feel like, is I can mark a lot of things as read and they don't have to vanish. I don't have to delete them. They can just be marked as read and off my TBR. And if I come back to them in 2 years, they pop up in my feed again and I'm like, oh, I want to read that. It can just come back from the dead and that's okay. So yeah, I definitely had a big realization here. But like I said, as somebody who reads 300 plus books a year, I don't want a TBR that is not getting cycled through somewhat. And I also don't want 0 on my TBR, so to speak. I think it's impressive that people have managed it. Now, there are categories I think could be close to 0 for me, and that would be absolutely perfectly fine. But I think, you know, as we do this math, what would my dream number be, right? Like, that's the hard part, I think, in all of this. What is my dream stats? So I'm gonna like make a table on Canva and I'll put it up here to show you. So as we sit, right, my Kindle has 736 unread books, give or take. Again, I don't know how updated that number is, but it should be pretty close. I think I would love to see my Kindle TBR sit at around 150 books because I need to commit to buying less on my Kindle. I read so heavy. This is the other realization I'm having is like, I want to be able to read from my libraries as much as I want to. I want to be able to pick up things that interest me as much as I want to. You know, I want to look at I want to scroll my Kindle and kind of see everything I have almost. And 150 for me would be pretty reasonable. That would allow me to pick up things that I want to read and have for free, you know, or on sale for free. You know, there are certain authors where when they do a free promo, I just automatically get their book because I know I like their books, things like that. So yeah, I think 150-ish would be ideal. Again, reading 300 books a year, that would easily be maintainable, right? Maybe a max of 200. That would require me to reduce the amount of books on my Kindle by 586. I think I could do it. Maybe. Perhaps. I think I need to ruthlessly go through my Kindle again and clear out some older purchases that I'm just not going to read and work through that sum at the end of the day. And I think I will. The next section is going to be more of my ARCs and audiobooks. We'll start with ARCs. So ARCs for me, I have auto approval with a couple publishers. I tend to just grab anything I'm interested in. I definitely have reeled it in a lot in the last year. And, you know, I've been reducing the number while still acquiring new ARCs. But I'm still sitting at 102 unread ARCs. And I like doing my ARC vlogs every quarter where I read, like, the books coming out in the next 3 months. But I also have noticed, like, I'm getting too many for those videos because I feel like I need to have more options and things like that. And it's just, like, kind of piling up in a bad way. So I think I would love to go from 102 to maybe 10 to 20 maximum. 10 would be ideal. 10 would mean that I am basically current till the next quarter. So basically, I've noticed about 10 a quarter is what I get. So if I stuck to 10, I could have some books further out. You know, I have like 3 or 4 2026 releases right now on my NetGalley, which is wild. But I also feel like if I'm at 10, I could request a handful and not feel a lot of pressure to get to them quickly if I'm not in the mood for them, etc. That would be a big reduction though. That's 92 arcs that would have to leave my TBR. Like that I would have to read to get there. And then we have Edelweiss, another review platform that I use. I don't get a ton on here. I can get a lot of source books arcs this way. And I need to just go through and honestly review a lot of these that I've gotten / submit DNF reviews. Edelweiss does not do percentages or things like NetGalley, and it's a little easier. But I have 74 on there right now, give or take. I would like that to be at 5. Because there really aren't a lot of books on there that I'm like dying to read, or that I don't also get on NetGalley. This would bring my TBR on there, or my list on there down 69 books total. I also think I've gotten some on there that have since turned into like authors I don't read from anymore. So I truly do just need to go audit that list and really reduce the number. The other ARC platforms that I get books on is the Penguin Random House audiobook app. So I don't request a ton on here. I do get a lot of their instant downloads that interest me. And I'm up to 26 books on there. And I feel like 5 would be fantastic. These are no pressure though also, but I like tracking them because I do want to make sure I'm being like smart about what I request, right? So I have 29 books on the Penguin app right now. And I think if I got it down to 5, that would be good because the app only goes up to 2 times speed, which means anything I read on here takes me longer. End of story to read. So 5 feels reasonable. That would reduce it by 24. Again, I also need to go through here and like remove the books that I have read already from other places because I don't know if I've done that, to be honest with you. So an audit is due. And then last but not least, I have the Google Play Store, which is somewhere I also get audiobook arcs sent to via publishers. So I have 26 books on the Google Play Store. That's mortifying. See, this is the thing. I feel like I just forget these things exist because they're not the platforms I always use, which is Libro. Like I use Libro heavily for my audiobooks these days. So Google Play, again, same goal, 5 I think would be great. Yeah, if I get into their next round of the influencer program for the publisher I use this for the most, you can only request 4 books a month. So 5 feels reasonable. That would let me have a couple hanger-ons without it being like, oh my god, you have so many books here. This is one where I'd have to reduce the TBR by 21 books. Which honestly might be doable. Okay, let's talk about just audiobook in general. On my Audible account, I have 106 unread books. Same thing, I feel like I'm often digging on this platform for things that I'm looking for to read or like trying to figure out what I want to read. I am heavily moving away from Audible as a reader. I already have, but like I'm even more so with certain things happening right now. We'll talk about it in Romancelandia. So I think my goal for Audible for now would be around 50 books unread because that would be about half. I'd have to reduce it by 56. That'd be about half. Again, I think I could audit this list some and remove some of the problematic authors that I bought years and years ago and make sure some of them are removed from this list of books to read on Audible. I think that would be very interesting to do. But yeah, I think I could reduce it probably within 2 years by 56 pretty easily. So yeah, that would be interesting. And then we have Libro FM, where I have 178 unread audiobooks, approximately. And same goal, I think 50 would be great. I read a lot of my audios through Hoopla and Libby, so I think reducing the amount I have on these platforms isn't a bad thing overall. And, you know, that would reduce it by 128 books. And I get up to 10 free ARCs every month through Libro's audiobook ARC program for influencers. So because of those 10 free books, I feel like 50 would mean I would have to actively read what I'm getting a little bit better than I have been because I'm not the best about it. So yeah, I think that would be really good for me. And again, same thing. I feel like I could look on the app quickly and find the things I haven't read and want to read or have a list, you know, actually maintained there for them. Okay, let's talk about my last like book item, which is physicals. I have reduced my physical TBR this year by 7 books already, which is fantastic. But I think as somebody who does not read physical books, my physical TBR should never be more than 5 books. It really shouldn't. I need to free myself from buying a book at every indie bookstore. I really need to free myself of this. And I need to better keep a list of books I've read and loved on my Kindle that I want to put on my shelves. Because that would allow me then to buy these books when I do visit the indie bookstores that I've already read and enjoyed and, you know, want to put on my shelf as a trophy. So ideally 5 physical books would be like the dream. That does require me to reduce this by 107. which I do think means we have to do a try chapter sooner than later. I need to determine if I want to finish certain series or not. I have some YA on here that I've not read yet. I need to make just choices, like big choices, about the things I do or don't want to read on my bookshelves that I own physically and are unread. That's scary. I've always felt moderately good about my unread bookshelf. I will say that because I don't read physical books. So I do think 112 is still excessive for someone who does not read physical books anymore. But I also feel like it feels very manageable to tackle and reduce. And every single book you see turned backwards is an unread book here. So that's really the problem. The other thing I will note with my physicals, I do have overlap in arcs and things like that and what's on my shelves, which I think is really fascinating also because it's really interesting that I've managed to double up in some places on what I own where. Let's talk about my manga and light novel situation. The manga is the problem partially in this entire thing, but not because, again, I read so much of it, but I'm bringing in enough of it that I also need to reduce what I have on my shelves. So I this year have increased how many I have on my shelves. I'm at 222, right? And I was reflecting and thinking about it with how much I read in a year. What is my ideal backlog of manga maximum? And I think it's 60, which feels really low when I tell you I read 150 to 200 volumes a year. But again, a lot of months I'm getting 3 or 4 volumes in the mail. Yeah, that's another 48 books I'm reading in a year. So it puts us at over 100 already. And that's just like on a slower month, so to speak. And then I go shopping and I buy manga and things like that happen. So I feel like 60, maybe 75. 60 is where I'm sitting right now in my brain. And obviously if I got to that number and I felt like I needed more, I would adjust. But I do think 60 would be super manageable because I could be reading more of my older titles and bringing in new stuff still. It would allow me, whenever we do 30 and 30, to create a little bit bigger of a backlog to read through. But also, again, I think I could better keep up with things that I have that are currently coming out. My digital manga, listen, I'm not too mad about it. I'm at 15. I went up 4. I did buy a series this year that I wanted to read all of, and I will be reading it soon. Digital manga to me is like semi not there in my brain in a weird way. But it's such a low number that I literally could finish it all probably in a weekend or two without trying too hard, right? So digital manga is a hard one because I have a certain series that I exclusively read digitally. They're only available digitally. So I feel like ideally for me, that's like a 5 TBR max, right? Like I think that would be really helpful because then I would have all of the things that are like, I could get a thing as it comes out and not feel like I need to read it immediately to keep it at a 0. But also when a sale happens, I could pick up a couple volumes of a thing to try and not feel too much like, oh my goodness, I'm at 20 again, you know? So I do think 5 would be ideal for my digitals. And then we have light novels, which I think also in a similar theme. I'm at 11 this year. I've read one so far. I don't read a ton of light novels. I like light novels. I really like audios for light novels though. So in that note, like knowing that about myself, I think again, light novels where we're sitting at 11, 5 or less. I have My Happy Marriage. Those almost all are out in audio now. So like I need to work my way through them on audio and listen to them all because I really like them. Like as other light novels come to audio, I'm going to continue doing that. But I think I need to like take a look at my light novel shelf and probably pull some of the titles and just take them to McKay's because I don't think I'm going to read them. Because again, I don't read books physically and I'm not double buying light novels. So that just creates a whole other thing. Similar to the physical bookshelf where I need to like not buy the things I'm not reading. The only thing I read physically is manga and that's it. So I just need to like reality check myself a little bit here and realize that it's okay to let go of some of these things and get them from the library maybe, or get ebook copies if I really, really decide I want to read it at some point. So yeah, that's like my dream TBR, which for accumulative books on that TBR, that would be 350 books. That is a 1,292 reduction in TBR books. And I think that's like my dream scenario. I am going to say right now, obviously this scenario is achievable with a lot of DNFing and unhauling. I do not believe that there is any world that I could in any way do this without any like true buckling down and not basically purchasing a single thing for 4 years. But again, I don't think that's realistic. Ideally, I think I would like to see myself unhaul enough this year to unhaul and reduce this year by a lot more than this. Like I would like to see this done for myself in 2 years, maybe, if I do decide to buckle down and commit. I don't know if I am yet. We can discuss in the comments. If I didn't buy anything else, right, this would take me probably 4 years. And if I didn't unhaul anything, we'll say. That's wild. That's a very wild timeline. And that isn't an unfeasible timeline. That is not what I want to do. I know that you cannot speed round TBR reduction, but I do think we can maybe boost it a little here. So one of the videos I've mentioned here a few times is I do have a video where I'm going through every single haul I've ever posted on my channel. It was about 55 videos. All of them were not book hauls. There was a couple other hauls in there, like planner stuff. But I'm looking at that. We're gonna go back to the earliest hauls. And what do I still have on my shelves? What is still here that I have not read? And we're gonna get honest with ourselves. And maybe a book from 2019 isn't gonna get read anymore. It's 2025, you know? Sure, maybe something could have been my new favorite. But that's okay. Like, I do have a vibe of, like, sometimes if a book was meant to be read by you and you, like, let go of it, it'll come back around at some point. And I think that's a reality I need to embrace. But yeah, it's been really interesting seeing myself start to feel a little more stress about the clutter that is books in my life. Again, it's not because I'm not reading them or because I don't love them, because I do. I love my books. I love reading. But I think there's this, like, weight around me right now with everything else going on in my life that is urging me to reduce certain things. And I think reducing my TBR, my owned TBR as we'll call it, would be beneficial. And I think it would really be helpful. So, like, to be able to go browse a list quickly and pick out a thing I want to read without too much thought, without too much, like, effort. So yeah, I think we're gonna do some kind of attempt at this. We're gonna do some kind of a little bit more focus. You know, we've been doing read what you own. I think I need to just buckle down a little more and see if I can work towards this goal. One big thing in 30 and 30 next month is I will be reading the oldest manga on my shelves. I've decided as I've been documenting all of those hauls, and I realize all the things I have unread from 3 years ago now. They need to be read immediately. This has to be done. I have to do it. So yeah, we're gonna do that this month. We're going to look at what I still own on my shelves from those hauls. And, you know, another discussion video is coming at you soon. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. I don't know yet. It depends on how long it takes me to get it together. This was just a chatty video idea I had, and I wanted to talk through it. I would love to know your method or process for handling your TBR, your, you know, I just did the vlog where I cleared my currently reading shelf. Like, do you go in and audit your Goodreads? You know, I did a big audit with Heather earlier this year, and that was really fun. I will tell you, on that note, I feel like I've done pretty good with my Goodreads this year. Reducing my Goodreads, like, want to read has been great because I am tracking things there. I'll show the numbers here. I screenshotted it earlier, but it's not a full picture of everything. So I think, again, doing this audit of my hauls, and maybe I'll do an audit of my shelves for Goodreads and stuff to kind of adjust things, and, like, Audible and all these things, like, correlate all of the final data by the end of the year on what I own and have unread and, like, still want to read. That's the other key. Still want to read. Because that would be, I think, an interesting end of year video. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. How, or if you want to see me go through this process of attempting to reduce my owned TBR to what feels like a much more reasonable number. And what will feel really good at the end of the day. For me, at least, I think. Again, I'm just in a space right now where life is a lot. And I want to reduce the noise. And I think there's a lot of noise for me right now in my digital clutter with books and stuff. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, let me know how y'all manage your TBRs. Do you have a number you try to keep it around? Are you a TBR 0 person? If you are, like, I'm super impressed. Because could never be me. But I would love to know. I feel like some of my friends are close to TBR 0 people. Like, they keep 40 to 50 books on their on their Goodreads want to read type. But yeah, I would love to know what you like to do for your TBR, if this stuff bugs you, if you are just a mind off person and it's whatever, you know, what's your practice in your reading life? Let me know all that down below. If you don't do any of that, you can leave me a book stack emoji, I guess, because this TBR is shrinking sooner than later, y'all. And I will have links to Be My Friend anywhere on the internet that I am. And I will talk to y'all in just a few days in my next video. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for.